Well, it's been a long time since we've talked on this side, but welcome to the First Day Hoops Report YouTube channel and Holding Court on a Tuesday of all days. I am First Day Hoops Report founding editor and Holding Court host Chris Stevens. Hopefully, you all are doing well out there, enjoying your summer. Those of you hoopers out there, y'all are busy. I mean, there's leagues in Wilmington, AAU, travel ball. I mean, I hope y'all get some rest eventually. I mean, yeah, I know y'all love the game and we love to watch you play, but always important to rest too. Just keep that in mind. So, in case you guys are wondering why I sound so clear, we got new microphone, got a new laptop. As you can see, the visual presentation is a little more clear, and my voice is clear, so it doesn't sound like I'm yelling across the room at you guys. Hey, did you see what happened last week with Ursuline and Sanford? No, yeah, I don't have to do that anymore. So, definitely glad to share these technological upgrades with y'all. And normally we stay local on this channel, but I mean the Sixers are local. I mean they're a local team. I mean they've been the Delaware Valley's primary professional basketball team since 1963. I mean that's before any of us were around. I mean it was before some of y'all's parents was around. So yes, we are going to is that Paul George, the 6'9", do everything forward, who previously played for the Pacers, the Thunder, and the Clippers, is now a Sixer, signed a 4-year, $212 million contract, and he's going to be the missing piece, if you will. Now that Joel Embiid is staying, Tyrese Maxey also just signed a $40 million per year extension. You know, he's the future face of the franchise, so it makes sense to lock him up too. And Sixers also in free agency got Andre Drummond from the Chicago Bulls and Eric Gordon from was he with Phoenix or Houston last year? I can't remember. One of the two. Eric Gordon has one of those interesting career arcs where it's like, whoa, he played for them. He played for them. He's been in the league that long. Oh, and of course they drafted Jared McCain from Duke and Dem Bona from UCLA. The McCain pick I find is interesting because if it was McCain and Gordon, I think are interesting picks because the Sixers needed outside shooting in a desperate way in the playoffs last year because there were times that Nick Nurse looked down the bench and saw Buddy Hield and was like, why are you even here, bro? Because Buddy Hield was terrible. After all of that, the Sixers tried to get Buddy Hield for like 3 straight summers, finally get him at the trade deadline, and he forgets how to shoot. Bummy Hield, Bunsy Hield, just terrible, horrendous. But those days are over now. And they also re-signed Kelly Oubre, which is a huge thing because that dude played some very strong minutes at all 3 front court positions. He was like a Golden State Warriors size center at some points in those lineups that Nick Nurse was running last year, and they actually had success with those lineups. Of course, Kelly came under fire for his famous rant at the officials after that Clippers game didn't go the way Sixers fans would have liked. If you haven't seen the rant, kids, don't try this at home or on the basketball court. But yeah, and Bona is a 6'8" rim runner, and that's something the Sixers needed because as much as we liked Paul Reed, B-ball Paul, he just never reached expectations. So, I mean, he's probably gonna have to go get it out the mud somewhere else, especially now they've gotten Drummond, and they're probably still in the market for Marcus Morris Sr. as well. I mean, that's still something that's probably still going on as I'm recording this. So, what does Chris Stevens think about all these moves the Sixers have made as a Sixers fan my entire life? I got to see it to believe it. That's the bottom line. The Sixers have let me down every one of my 38, 39 years watching this team. Every single year. It's always been something. If it's not Johnny Dawkins tearing his ACL in the 4th grade and the Sixers having to rely on old point guards like Ricky Green, if it's not George Lynch breaking his foot in the playoffs in 2001, if it's not Embiid getting his skull cracked by was it Markelle? Yeah, getting the skull cracked on accident by Markelle. If it wasn't Simmons busting his knee up before the bubble playoffs, it's been something every year. Every year. It's just like I've forgotten how much stuff the Sixers have, stressed me out about. So I've got to see it to believe it. And I'm going to be honest with y'all. I am not a huge Paul George fan. I'm not. I mean, yeah, he's 6'9". He can handle the ball. He can shoot. He can dribble. He can defend. There's just something about him that's just to me. I mean, it's like, okay, yeah. I mean, yeah, yay, Paul George. But if this is who Daryl Morey and Nick Nurse and Embiid and Maxey and everyone else thinks can get the Sixers to the promised land, then they gonna pull me back in. It's just like the Mafia. Just when I think I'm out, they pull me right back in. So we're gonna try to see how this works. But let's be real about this. The Boston Celtics are the team to beat for the next 3 or 4 years. And it stinks to say that. Because as a Sixers fan, it is in the blood, it is in the DNA. It is our birthright to hate the Boston Celtics every step of the way. It's what we do. Eagles fans hate the Cowboys. Phillies fans hate the Braves and the Mets. Flyers fans hate the Penguins. Sixers fans are supposed to hate the Boston Celtics. And I hate the Boston Celtics. But I got to hate them from a place of respect because, I mean, look at what they've done. They won 64 games last year. They won the NBA championship. People can say, yeah, they had an easy road in the East, but you still got to beat who's in front of you. And they beat who's in front of them like a drum. I mean, first round, I forgot who they played in the first round. Don't even matter. They got them out the paint quickly. Second round, who was it in the second round? In the conference finals, got them out the paint. Dallas was lucky to steal game 4 because they was definitely going to get swept. But for some reason, Tatum and Brown forgot how to shoot in game 4. Then they remembered in game 5 back home in the Garden. I guess they wanted to win the championship at home. But that Celtics team is built to contend for a long time. And even with Al Horford, being at the end of the rope, and I still think Al Horford was a sleeper agent. I firmly believe the Celtics sent him to Philadelphia for a year to destroy the Sixers. That is my personal opinion. That's my story, and I'm sticking to it. So I can't be happy that Al Horford won the championship knowing that he came to Philly and just added absolutely nothing for a year and then went back to Boston. Like it just smells like a setup. And I'm not a conspiracy theorist by nature, but I'm just saying that's just my opinion. But overall, I really don't know what to think about. I mean, what to think is the Sixers got for the first time in forever, the best free agent on the market. I think this is the biggest free agent signing Philly has had since Bryce Harper. And it's probably the biggest offseason acquisition since the Eagles got A.J. Brown. So, I mean, there's literally so much, hype going into this whole Paul George thing, and I want to buy in. Goodness gracious, I want to buy in. I mean, literally, the Sixers last won an NBA championship in 1983. I was not even 2 years old, so I can't remember it, so I can't claim it. It's not like I could say, hey, my mom had me sitting up in her lap watching the Sixers game. No, that didn't happen probably. I was probably somewhere asleep. So I was less than 2 years old. And the Sixers were playing the Lakers out in LA. So that means 1 o'clock in the morning, I was probably knocked out. So I can't claim that championship. And there are people that are older than me that don't even like to claim that championship because it was so long ago. So yes, we'd like to see the Sixers win the championship, but I just don't know if this puts them over the hump. It does make them decent in the East because I still think New York is doing way too much because Thibodeau ran those guys down. You saw it in game 7 against Indiana. Indiana doesn't play any defense because they absolutely got drilled by the Celtics. They just couldn't stop a water leak. Everything else in the East is like up for grabs. We don't know what Miami's going to do with Jimmy Butler. We don't know if Orlando's ready to take that leap yet. We don't know how Cleveland's going to handle this coaching change. So they should be a top 2 team. Again, Milwaukee, the Giannis Dame partnership had a quick ending because Giannis got hurt, and Doc Rivers is their coach. And if anything I've learned during my time as a Sixers fan watching Doc Rivers coach this team is that you don't want Doc Rivers coaching when it matters the most. Like that 08 Celtics team literally carried him to a championship. So I'm not going to sit here and say that I fear Milwaukee. I'm not going to sit here and say I fear New York. I'm not going to sit here and say I fear Indiana or Cleveland or Orlando. But I have a healthy respect for the Boston Celtics because they're the team to beat. They are. We ain't even talking about what's going on out west yet. I mean, Dallas has improved. The Lakers are trying to make moves. I may say something about Bron and Bronny. I haven't decided yet. Oklahoma City's made some really good moves. I mean, the West is just as big a dogfight as the East. More so. So even if the Sixers get to the finals, there's no guarantee that they win the whole thing. but you got to take your chances. And at this point in the game, the Sixers have absolutely nothing left to lose. Nothing. Because the interesting thing about this is they own 3 of the Clippers' next 5, I think it is, first round draft picks. They have whatever first round pick the Clippers, whatever position the Clippers have in 26. They have a pick swap in 20. No, the pick swap is 29 or even 28. But just 3 Clippers first round draft picks in the next 5 years. And I don't think by the time that 2028 pick comes up that the Clippers are going to be contenders. I don't even think they make the playoffs. So there's a good chance that even if this whole Embiid, George, Maxey thing falls apart, the Sixers can rebuild with whoever is the top dog in 2028, whenever that comes out. Time flies, man, because we're talking about 2028. I mean, and I just thought 2024 is like, we're really in 2024. Yeah, time flies. But the Sixers, they had to go for it. I mean, there's literally, again, nothing left to lose. You have to make a choice. I mean, Embiid, we don't know how much prime years he has left because he's a big dude, and big dudes tend to fall off rather quickly. Those of you who are not old enough to remember Patrick Ewing playing for the Orlando Magic or Hakeem Olajuwon playing for the Toronto Raptors don't understand. Big men fall off quickly. I don't even think y'all old enough to remember Shaq playing for the Boston Celtics. That was a sad sight. A very sad sight. So you got to take advantage of whatever prime years Joel Embiid has left. And yes, it's up to Joel to stay healthy. Like, he has to drop some weight. Like, I'm a big dude. I used to weigh close to 400 pounds. I'm down to about 245 now. And when I tell you my knees thank me for that weight loss, I mean, it's easier for me to get around it. I mean, it's too late for one of my knees because my right knee is just like in terrible shape. I actually need to have it replaced. That's another story for another day. But, Embiid has to take his conditioning seriously. He has to, in general, just be better about how he presents his body, takes care of his body on the court, because all that he does to draw fouls, it's only going to hurt him in the long run, because every year when it comes playoff time, he's got a torn meniscus, he's got a strain this, he's got a bruise that. He's got to stay healthy. And granted, the load management era is coming to an end, so it's not like Nurse is going to be able to just sit him on back-to-backs just because. So, I mean, it's still up in the air as to how far the Sixers team goes, especially, Tyrese Maxey, he's been a godsend. Like, I was happy for the young man when he got drafted because, he was so emotional, and I was like, this is a dude I want to cheer for. And just for him to be as great as he is, like when he absolutely willed the Sixers, to a game 6 against the Knicks, it was like icing on the cake. Like, this is a guy who could potentially, he's already an all-star. He could potentially be an MVP candidate. And yeah, guards don't win MVP awards very often. But Tyrese Maxey could be one of those ones. And I'm thankful he's a Sixer, and I'm thankful the Sixers didn't trade him for anybody. Because they were like, oh, trade him for Dame, and trade him for Bron, and trade him for this, and trade him for that. It's like, no, you keep a guy like that, because not only is he good on the court, but he gives the fans, a sense of hope. And not to say Joel doesn't. I mean, everybody likes Joel for the most part, but everyone loves Tyrese Maxey. Everybody. Like, he's just I keep calling him a kid. I mean, he'll be 24 in the fall, but, compared to me, he's a kid. But he's just somebody that you root for. He's somebody that you root for nonstop. And I'm glad the Sixers decided to hold on to him and make him a piece of the franchise, because if the Sixers are going to win the championship, he's going to be a part of it. He's absolutely going to be a part of it. So those are my thoughts, and I want to know your thoughts. So if you want to drop a comment, feel free to do so. We will be back with more holding court, more Delaware-centric stuff, as I get around to these leagues and different things, because I think we're close. My long national Carlos nightmare is coming to an end. I'll have more on that in the future. But yes, we're almost there. You're almost there. If you want to help, by the way, a donation link will be in the description below. But yeah, I'm close. I'm very close. But if you guys want to help get me over the hump, you're more than welcome to do so. So thank you for watching this edition of Holton Court. Greatly appreciate your time as always. Hope you guys are having a great summer. Hope you guys are improving on your skills, because November 29th, that's when the season starts. That's when high school basketball season starts, November 29th. November 29th is going to be here sooner than you know it, and it's going to be time to show and prove. And so many of us with cameras are going to be out to see y'all, so y'all better be ready. So thank y'all for watching. So until the next time we speak, y'all take care of yourselves and each other.